Hi, and welcome to Astro Bites for Friday, the 13th of September, 2024. Do you get scared of Friday the 13th? Is it traditionally a day that you freak out and imagine all sorts of terrible things are going to happen and don't walk under ladders and cross your fingers and touch wood? I don't know, it's really weird, isn't it? Because it has this connotation of being unlucky. And you know what? It's all to do with our beliefs. If we believe we are going to attract unlucky energy towards us on, say, a Friday the 13th, then we probably will. So I suggest you think positive thoughts for at least the whole day and the night, and just assume everything is going to work out for your highest good and the highest good of all. But what about the astrology today? And of course, we have another word of the day. And this week we've been taking a rather kind of psychological little journey through psychotherapy techniques. And I know some of you have got a little bit kind of, I think, tired with this kind of in-depth, deep delving. And I'm sorry that some of you are finding it a little bit tough. I will try and make it brief, succinct, and bring it to the point. But we have got a good word for today, but really the word for today deserves a whole probably, well, it could be alive, because it's something that perhaps one needs questions and answers for. I'm going to save that for the end, but I'm going to keep it brief today. Let's look at the astrology. Now, the reason I haven't brought the astrology in yet is because it's actually quite a calm day. The energy is much the same as it was yesterday and the day before. And this is how astrology goes. It's not always drama and, sort of dramatic things happening and amazing aspects in the cosmos. Sometimes it just jogs along, a little bit like life sometimes just kind of jogs along and unfolds. But what have we got today? Because if you remember, yesterday and the day before, we were in the energy of this Sun-Jupiter square. And the Sun is in Virgo, so this can be attention to detail, really thinking about the minutiae. And Jupiter, of course, is our planet of opportunity and luck, but also of expansion and all things positive. And actually, the Sun is a positive energy because it is the life force of our whole cosmos. Without the Sun, none of us would be here. And so in a natal chart, for instance, where your Sun is when you are born is actually very important and sets the tone. Even though you may have no other planets or points in, say, the sign of Virgo, because that's where the Sun is at the moment, it will still influence the way you are in life in general. People will somehow know on some level that you are pretty kind of pedantic, that you attend to the details, that you will keep going back over things to make sure you've got them correct. And so, it's really interesting the way this energy does work with the Sun sign that we are. But remember, of course, the ascendant, the rising sign, also gives a huge kind of different dynamic to how we appear to the world. And in this particular event chart, we have Cancer on the ascendant, the rising sign, and it's at the 29th degree, which, as you know, is a very powerful point. And so even though the energy today seems quite mundane and just jogging along, and I mean, I'm going to have a proper look in a minute just to confirm what I'm suggesting, I feel that there is something quite dynamic about the way this week draws to a close. Cancer, remember, is about family, home, nurturing, taking care of ourselves, taking care of our loved ones, giving a lot of attention to the home, perhaps wanting to spend more time in the home. And of course, what is interesting with this event chart is that retrograde Pluto at the 29th anaretic degree of Capricorn is sitting there on the descendant. You know, there's something about this chart that tells me something may get triggered today to do with significant relationships where either something is absolutely done, dusted, it's over, that's it. But the flip side of that is the decision to actually commit. So Pluto can give you both sides of this coin because it's at this trigger point and it's about dramatic transformation. And it's on the descendant, on the cusp of the 7th house, which of course is about significant relationships. Now the moon today is in Capricorn, and the moon is making a lovely trine to Mercury, our planet of communication, in Virgo, the sign it rules. And the moon in Capricorn, though, you remember I said yesterday, is what we call in its fall. It's not comfortable in Capricorn because it rules Cancer, which is its opposite sign. So in Capricorn, it's a little bit restricted. It doesn't particularly like the boundaries and the structure that Capricorn will, in a sense, impose on the moon's fluid, watery energy. And Capricorn is an earth sign. So what we have to do is turn that energy into a positive. Because, of course, if you plant seeds, you need water to sprinkle on the earth to make the seeds grow. So not all negative. And the moon is also coming up today to square Venus in Libra. There may be some miscommunication or a situation that has arisen where there needs to be some kind of get together, some kind of meeting. But because of the amount of the content of stuff that one has got to get through during the day, the daily routine, that it's a little bit difficult to see how we can fit this in. So there's that kind of energy as well. But of course, also, the moon is sextiling Saturn. Saturn retrograde in Pisces. And Saturn rules Capricorn, where the moon is. So this is actually quite helpful and gives us a sense with the day that even though there may be some little tiny things that come up to block us, or it's a bit difficult to arrange meetings or discussions, or are you free at 3 o'clock to talk to me? All those kind of kind of situations, somehow Saturn is giving structure to it and helping it to be resolved, helping these things to fall into place. Now, I spent quite a long time today talking about a day of astrology, which really doesn't have much going on. But can you see how with a chart, you can, I could continue, but I'm not going to, because I want to bring in the word of the day, and I don't want this video to go on for too long, because none of us have great attention spans, and I wanted these Astro Bites to be exactly that. A quick bite of something gives you a flavor. That is what I'm going to be tasting today. Let's move on to our word of the day. Well, I think, a lot of you will be very familiar with this word, and it's a word that's used a lot. It's been, if you like, borrowed from the realms of psychotherapy and psychoanalysis. It's bandied around on social media, in the news, amongst celebrities. We use it, but do we really know what it means? Can you guess what it is? Narcissism. Now you know why actually I'm not going to talk about this word for very long. I'm just going to give you the absolute headlines, because narcissistic behavior is so deep, so complex. It is excessive self-focus, a sense of superiority with a shadow side of incredibly low self-esteem. It is a misnomer, it is a dichotomy. One thinks that a narcissistic person is all out there kind of, going, look how wonderful I am. But inside, did I get the validation I need? Did they like me? Was it good enough? Was it okay? And they can torture themselves with this kind of self-analysis and kind of flagellation almost of real negative narcissism. Do you know, I would suggest that the majority of people that decide to do the terrible kind of decision to end their life have a huge problem with a narcissistic persona that is so negative, that is so caught in their shadow, that it is so and that destructive. So as I said, I'm not going to talk about this word for long. I'm just throwing it in our pot. And what I want to know for you is if you would like me to do a longer video about narcissism, and what I might do is do it as a live, more into the autumn, and to link it in with the astrological energies that would somehow suggest in a natal chart an abundance of narcissism or not. So I'll just go through the kind of headlines, because it is about a sense of self-importance. It is about a constant need for attention and validation. There is a lack of empathy with narcissists. They find it very difficult to actually feel anything empathic for another. This is extreme and serious narcissism. They can exploit others for their own personal gain, and they can be highly manipulative. But they do believe that they deserve special treatment. Remind you of any politicians? I think most of them have a little bit of a taste of this. Also, they can show and display a lot of envy and unconscious envy that can come out an incredible competitiveness and incredible kind of destructiveness. You know what's coming into my mind? I'm thinking about the famous debate we had really worldwide about the two contenders for the US election that happened this week. And there is narcissism abounding within that situation for both parties, because neither of them could stand up there and do what they're doing if they didn't have some sense of self and sense of, I can do this, I'm good enough. And it's such a fine line, because there's a fine line between knowing thyself well and actually knowing that you are good at something and can deliver the goods, whatever they are. And the fine line between I'm doing it for self-validation for my very weak ego and terrible low self-esteem. So that can bring in arrogance and dismissiveness. So of course we know that the behavior of somebody with a narcissistic disorder, they dominate relationships, they only think about their own needs, and they do not look at the needs of another. So it can create huge interpersonal difficulties. But I'm not going to talk about it anymore now. I'm just giving you a flavor, a taste of what it's about. And, you know, I've got a very interesting word for tomorrow as well, because it kind of leads on a little bit from this word, and it'll be the last word for this whole week, which is focusing on these kind of rather deep psychological kind of situations. And as much as I was trying to keep this particular video short, I've gone to 17 minutes. I'm going to stop. I'm going to say thank you so much for joining me and listening. And if you're not enjoying the words this week, don't worry. Please tell me the words that you would like me to look at and talk about. I'll be only too happy to discuss them. So let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments if you would like me to do a deeper dive into narcissism and link it in with the astrology, and we'll take it from there. So on that note, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for yet another Astro Bite. Bye for now.